Okay. Okay, that's fine. Let me share my screen. Good evening, everyone. I think I'm audible now, right? Okay, awesome. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, good evening. Hope we are good. Good evening, everyone. Apologies. We have some technical challenges, right? But devil is a liar. We've been able to overcome the challenges. So at least with 15 minutes of our time have gone already. Okay, yeah. So good evening. Hope we are good, right? Um, and I believe everybody can see my screen, right? So that we can just start the class immediately. I haven't wasted some of our precious time. I think it is better we just start immediately. Yeah, devil is a liar. Devil is a liar indeed. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Okay. Okay, let's start. Right. Let's quickly do a recap of last class. Right. Now, last class we talked about join. Right. We started the join. We define join as a way of joining two or three tables together, joining two or three tables together, based on the record, right? Then we talk about inner join, outer join, left, right join, and then full outer join, right? Then we wrote some SQL query where we join two tables and three tables together, right? So that's where we stop. And I believe every one of you will have gone through the video over and over, right? Just to get yourself acquainted with all those SQL query we used in our last class, right? And I think by now we should be able to close our eyes and write SQL query, right? Especially joining the tables together, right? And we also make use of some in functions, right? SQL built-in function, right? Where we use update, alter, and so on like that, right? So we're going to start with join again, right? We're going to start with join because I believe that some of you didn't uh, understand join in our last class. Then we'll start with join, then we'll proceed from there, right? So we started by joining two tables together. That's a salary table and then employee table. That's the two table we join together. Then from there we proceed up where we join three tables together as well. Right. Now let's look at when we join the two tables together. If you can see my screen from line 63 to line 272, that is where we actually join two tables together, and we said from the employee table we need some column, right? We need staff ID, we need first name, gender, hire date. Then from the salary we need salary ID, we need department, then we need salary, right? So we need all those three columns from the salary table. Then we need four columns from employee table, making seven columns that we actually need indeed, right? Then we proceed where we started writing the SQL query. Then, like I said, if you are joining tables together, right, you make reference to the table name. It is very, very important when you are writing a SQL query. You make reference to the table. Now, for instance, if you can see here, we have employee table, right? We have employee table, staff ID. Then we have employee dot first name. Then we have employee dot gender. Then we have employee dot hire date. So that actually reference the employee table. Then we have salary dot salary ID. That's reference salary table. Then we have salary department. Then we have salary dot salary. Right. That's how you're going to do that. Now, so we now said joining, we're going to join search from employee table, then we are joining salary table with our employee table. Then there should be a unique identifier which we use staff ID. You know, staff ID is a primary key in the employee table. It's also a foreign key in the salary table, right? Staff ID is a primary key in the employee table, while that the same staff ID is a salary, right? Is a foreign key in the salary table. So I think we are able to get that now. So that will help us that. So we are joining based on that relationship, right? So we are going to model the two tables together using the staff ID. Now, if I execute this now, so I'm going to get staff ID, first name, gender, hire date, salary ID, department. Now, so that shows that we've joined the two tables together, and the output we have is 16 record, right? Now, so from there, we proceed to join three tables together. So it's still the same way you join the two. So the only thing now, I just adding the third table to the first two table. I just adding the third table to the two table you've initially joined, right? So that's what we are doing. So we're going to proceed here. So if you look at it, let me do something like this. All right, let's do that. It's going to be easy for us to understand. Right. So now if you check now, we have employee, that's staff ID, that's staff ID from employee table, salary ID from salary, payment ID from payment table, first name from employee, gender, hire date. These are from the employee table. Then we have department, then we have salary, we have payment account number, we have payment.banks, and we have payment underscore. So now from employee, so we all know that employee has the primary key. So that's going to be the first table we are picking. Then joining with salary, right? Then on what? On staff ID staff ID equals to staff ID, right? Now, then join payment, right? We are going to, now this is where we join the third table together. This is where we join the third table together. That's it, join table. Then on what? On now payment staff ID equals to employee staff ID. So we are now joining the payment with employee. Now, in the other way around, another thing you can instead of using the staff ID, employee, right? You can join it directly to the salary, right? You can join directly with salary. So you've already joined the two tables together, but now you are joining the third table together. Now let's execute this and see. Right? So we still get the same, right? So you can see now, we now have 17 records from when we joined the three tables together. Someone is in, you promised to send the SQL command. Do you mean the SQL query? Yes, I sent it. Code library, I sent it. Yes, I sent the query, not the query, all the queries, yeah, from the beginning of the SQL class to our last class. I sent it. I believe you guys should have check your LMS. It's there. Check your LMS. Right now, so we've been able to join the three tables, the three tables together. Right, so join the three tables together. Now, I want to believe that we are on the same page as SQL join before we proceed. Are we on the same page before we proceed? Someone said create view query return an error message. We've not done SQL view. So we've not done view. So I can't reply your message. or let's say if you have gone ahead of us, right? When we get to the to the view, you will see, okay, okay. Some of us are yet to be on the elements, okay. So among the three table, which one is most updated? Most updated. I didn't get your question. We are just joining them based on the current data we have, right? And if any of the table is updated, right, the the three tables that you've joined together will be updated. These are the things we're going to discuss under SQL view, right? These are the things we're going to discuss under SQL view. Is there a way to check the primary key using the query? Primary key using the query? No, your primary key is your staff ID. So you don't need to check. You already, it's what you know. You already designed that when you already know that when you are designing your database. So your primary key is your staff ID. And like I explained, your staff ID can be salary ID. Sorry, your primary key can be salary ID. When you are designing, it depends the way you want to, right? But based on what we design here, based on what the DSA wants us to do, so we already know that the staff ID is our primary key, and that's the way we design it, right? If you want to design a data warehousing for for Incubator in the nearest future, you can decide to use employee ID. You can decide to use whatever ID you want to use, but make sure that you know your primary key when you are designing your tables, right? Now, so I'm going to show you something. Sorry, let's see. It's okay. Okay. Now, so let's we can proceed now to subquery. We can proceed to the subquery. Let's talk about subquery, right? Someone said, I can't even download SQL. It's so tiring. I can't believe that Ilori Adebayo, that as at now, we still have someone uh, still not be able to download SQL. You mean the database? Is MySQL, Workbench, Postgres, or SQL Server? By now, no. I don't want to believe that. If you have any issue, what is at least a lot of people on this platform already volunteer that they want to assist as many that are still unable, right? As at last week. So if Ilora Adebayo said I can't even download SQL, it's so tiring, then something is wrong somewhere, right? Something is it's either you are not reaching out to people for assistance, or at least if you can even go to YouTube, just go to YouTube, say how to download MySQL Workbench or how to download Postgres. If you are using Windows 10 or Windows 11, whatever the Windows you are using, just go to YouTube, say how to download MySQL Workbench or how to download SQL Server on Windows 11 or Windows 10. You will see thousands of videos that explain that. So if you can pick any of those videos, just follow. Unless if your system now has a issue, right? Compatible issue, right? Or maybe space. Most time, what people face when you're downloading all these things is a space. If your system is already occupied, there is no enough space, you can face some challenges. But when your system is, you don't have any space, or sorry, you don't have a space issue, then you are good to go when you want to download that. So another thing. So if you one thing about SQL Server is that if you download this SQL Server and you delete it, you're going to get a problem, because if you are deleting, it is not all the files that you downloaded together that will be deleted. So you have to force delete. So if you download it and you delete it, you might face challenge when you are installing another one. That's another thing. So rather than that, go and download MySQL or Postgres, right? Someone, sir, can I download the SQL server on my phone? Yes, just that your phone will just be explode. Okay, someone said it's quite stressful, but I could be of help. Yeah, it's quiet, but what I believe that once you can download it once, that's nothing. You are good to go. You are good to go. Okay, so let's continue. I can't use my app to, I've said this several times. You can't use MacBook for SQL Server. You can't use MacBook. Microsoft and Apple, they are not friendly when it comes to that. But I don't want you guys to, I don't want to go too technical. There is a one that is compatible, which is Azure Data Studio is compatible, but that one you will have to, if that one is compatible, you can download and install that one, Azure Data Studio, right? But for MacBook people, just download Postgres or MySQL. Just download the Postgres or MySQL. Okay, so let's continue with the subquery. So when we talk about subquery in SQL, it means query inside query. If I just tell you what is a subquery, or if I just ask you what is a subquery, and you tell me that subquery is a query inside query, I'll give you 10 over 10. Right? I'll just give you 10 over 10. Subquery is a query inside query. So you have written a query, right? You have written a query, then you now write another query under that query. That's what I mean by subquery. That's what I mean by subquery. Query inside query. Right? Okay, so that's the meaning of subquery, right? Okay, now we're going to take some of the table we've created before, right? We're going to create some of the query we've created before, and then we use it to write. Can't it be query within query? Yes, it's English now. You can say query within query, query with query. But what I'm just saying is that query inside query, right? You can now use your own English to express it in a way that you understand, right? Aha. Now, I have some SQL query here, right? Okay. All right. So I'm going to, right. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Okay, let's continue. Now, so that's query. So what I'm going to do now is to use the subquery to do the same thing that we did here when we join these two tables together. When we join two tables together, we are going to look at how we can write subquery to join two tables together, right? We're going to use how you can use subquery to join two tables together. Now, let's look at it. Now, so I'm going to write, let's say, for instance, I want to join select all from employee. Then select all from salary, right? So I want to join these two tables together now using subquery. I want to join these two tables together. So I'm going to write my query. I'm going to say select all, right? Now, then select all from employee. But I'm going to write a subquery. So I'll just open a bracket. Open a bracket. open and close a bracket, then I'll come to this place. I'll say, now select all from, sorry, I don't need from now. Select, I always select staff ID, right, comma, first name, right, comma, then let's say last name, right, comma, let's say gender, and let's say I need gender, right, then I need hire date, right, now, right, then from employee table, right, employee table, then I'll close the bracket as, let's just say as employee, as employee, then as employee, right. Now, the brackets I open here, I've closed the bracket, then I'll continue. Now, I want to join it with what? With with salary. So I will say join, then open another bracket, join, open another bracket. So from the join, let's say peradventures, I need all the, or sorry, all the columns from the to need staff ID, because that's what we are using. Now, so the difference between when you use subquery to join two tables together is that you have to specify the primary, the two keys you are using. That's the both primary key and the foreign key. Now, so I'm gonna say join, and that's a select, right, staff ID, comma. I don't need to repeat first name and thing again. Department, right, comma, then salary, right, then from salary, right, then close the bracket as, I'll just say as salary, right. Now, so I want to now create a model that will join the two of them together. So I will now say on employee dot, sorry, dot staff ID, right, equals to salary dot staff ID. Okay. Okay. Now, if I run this now, you can see this give me 16 rows. Then the other time that we use 16 record, then from here, how many record do we get when we did it here? You can see. So that's, so I'm just showing you how you can use subquery to join the two tables together, right? How you can use subquery to join the two tables together. Okay, right. Okay, are we on the same page? Do we understand subquery? We'll still do subquery to do analysis, to run some analysis as well, right? To run some analysis, right? So being able to join the table together, use this. Then let's look at it again. So that's how you can use. So let's run some analysis. Or any question? You have a question? Any question? Are we on the same page? Should we proceed? Okay. Mine is 15. Yeah. But at least if you my concern here now is that do we understand the subquery, right? So that let's forget about the number of rows or the record that is given to you, right? My concern is that sorry, some people in this class they have gone ahead of the facilitator, right? Like this guy, Akinho, create view didn't work. We've not started creating view. We've not gotten to where we started creating view. So if you are creating view and we've not gotten there, there's no way I can respond to your questions or your challenges, right? Right. Someone said I thought you taught us last week. I mentioned view. If I did that last week, maybe I just show you the glance through, just show you something. I've not really deep down into what SQL view is, right? So let's forget about it. Let's just focus on what we are doing today, right? I think after this, we'll go to SQL view, right? Some of you want to see how it works, right? We'll definitely go there, right? Yeah. So if I mention it, right? Yeah, I agree with you, but okay. Now, so let's go over it again and then we'll proceed. Let's go over it of the query, then we'll proceed. Now, if you look at the query, we actually wanted to join two tables together. Like you already know how to join. Now, it's how to write a subquery to join two tables together. That's what we're actually doing, right? Now, I said select all from. Now, what this here, what is doing is that it's just it allows you to pick, or what it's telling you that for you to be able to pick the number of columns that you need from employee table, right? The number of column, like if from what you can see now, it's basically I mostly like selected all the columns, right? All the columns in the employee. So if you check the employee, right? The only we didn't select date of birth and state of origin. Let's even add a state of origin. State of origin. Right. Okay. Now, so what is the what is doing it for you now is that it helps you to select the number of columns, the field names that you need to select from employee table. So in the employee table, we need to select staff ID, first name, last name, gender, hire date, and date of origin from employee. Then you close the bracket. Then you what? You close the bracket as what? As employee. So this is like we refer to this as a derived table or expression table. So when you want to write a subquery that will give you expression table or derived table. So that's when you now use as employee, right? I'm going to show you another way to write subquery, right? But when you are doing a join tables together, it's good to follow this format, right? That select all from, then select staff ID, select all the columns that you need, then from employee, close the brackets as employee, then join, right? So after you click join, then open another bracket again, another open bracket, then select. Just repeat this the same way you did it for employee. Repeat the same thing for salary. Now, but in the salary, if you check the salary table, we have first name, last name, which you don't need to repeat all those things. You don't need to repeat it. So just what you just need to do is just to select the number of columns that you need from salary. So from the salary, staff ID, department, and salary. That's just only thing that we need, right? If you want to add salary ID to it, you can still do the same thing, right? Salary underscore ID. But so what this subquery is trying to solve, that it's eliminating when you make a reference to the table, just like the way you did here, that you have to write employee.staff, employee.first name, employee dot all those things. But in when you're using the subquery to join them together, you don't need to write those dot. So just select all the tables you need, all the columns you need for both tables, then you join them together. Now you can still see that we still went back to the same way of joining tables together, like on what format or on what parameter I want to join them together. So I want to join them based on the staff ID from employee table, then the staff ID from salary table, right? So can it work if you don't select staff and a salary table? So it will not, right? Let's say for instance now, if I remove salary here, right, then let's execute. You can see that I'm going to get error, right? I get invalid column name. So this is what just actually differentiates between when you are using subquery, right? It means whatsoever the entity, let me use the word, and I don't know if it's correct, but whatever you are using to join the two tables together, you have to specify them, you have to select them in both columns, sorry, in both tables, right? You have to select. So that's why I say in the employee we selected staff ID, in the salary too we select staff ID as well, right? So you have to select the staff ID in both table, and both has to appear in your output. Sorry, am I getting error? Wait. Okay, invalid. Okay, staff ID. Sorry. Okay. Now see the output now. I see the output. Right. Now, another thing I would like to explain to you is that if you observe the output, if you observe the output very well, this subquery is more the output is more accurate, in the sense is that what happened is that the staff ID in the salary and the staff ID in the employee, we check it each other. If there are matches value, it will return it. That's the essence, right? Now, if you look at the output here, we have the staff ID is 401. If you check for the salary, it's 401. If you check the output too for the staff ID AB212, you also see that AB212, right? Continue like that. Here you can see. So that's the essence of subquery, because it's going to look at the values that also matches the other value in the other table, right? Then return it. So that's the reason why you have to specify your key, your primary key and your foreign key in both tables when you are doing selection, right? When you are doing selection. Okay, that's another question. Titilayo Giwa. Can we say select all from employee, join select all from salary on employee? Okay, salary. Then on employee dot staff ID to, you can write it. You can dispose. Okay, this is what he's saying. Let's test it. He's saying that select all from employee, right? I want to see your query, right? Then join select all from salary, then on, let me just copy the one I did here. On this, right? So it's not going to work. Are you getting? Right. Okay. So I think we're on the same page now. So let's proceed to other subquery. Right. Now, let's look at this employee table. Sorry. Employee table. Right. Then let's check the salary table. Select all from salary. Okay. Let's use salary table. Okay. So we have this is salary table, but the DSA want us to get top three highest paid employee, right? This is the question, right? We want to get top three highest paid employee, right? So how do we write a query that will help us to get this? There are different ways you can write a query that will get you this, but I want to use subquery to get the top three. I want to use subquery to get the top three. So let's look at the way I'm going to do that. Right. So I'm going to say select all from, right, open brackets, then I will now select staff ID, right, then first name, last name, then salary, right, from salary table, right. Then I'll close the bracket, then I'll say as salary, right. Now this is, I want to get the top highest paid employee at DSA, right? Now, so I'll say, now if I run, let's look at something now. If I run this, I'm going to get error. Sorry, I'm going to get the table, right? I'm going to get the output, right? If I execute this, right? But now this has not given us the top three. This is what this is the subquery. That is what I need, right, for me to get the salary, right? This just actually return staff ID, first name, last name, and salary, right? But this has not solved the problem they want us to solve, right? The problem they want us to solve is for us to get the three highest paid employee, right? Now from here now, it's actually easy for us to complete the query from here. I want to know who can help me complete this query from here, right? Who can help me to complete the query here, right? Okay, let me just do one thing. So I can say order by what? By salary, right? Now in descending order, because it's from the highest paid, right? Descending order. Now if I run this, right, now automatically we can see that this person here is the highest paid, right? followed by this, right? Continue. But the only thing they want to see is just the top three. So I just need someone to borrow me the idea. I've lost of idea for me to be able to see the top three. I only just return three record. It's only three record I want to. It's okay, limit three. Okay, budget boss, limit three. Noted, limit three. So if I comes to this place and I put limit three here, it doesn't work. Limit is not compatible syntax with SQL Server. So you can use limit in MySQL and Postgres. Okay. I've gotten the answer. Someone has given the answer. Say select top three. That's Olamide Alu, right? So if you are using MySQL Workbench or Postgres, just use limit. Just write your query like this and put limit here. But in SQL Server, you have to come back to this place and put your top three here. Right? Then you select so you can see. So these are the different syntax you will see when you are using both SQL Server, MySQL, and Postgres. Right? Top three, yes. So it's top three. So this gives us the three highest paid staff at Incubator Hub, right? Now, another question they want us to solve is average salary by department. Average salary by department. Now, if you don't want to use, I like thinking outside the box. That's one thing I like. What if I don't want to use subquery to even get the same result? I don't want to use subquery. Is there a way I can write normal SQL that will give me this? Let's try it. Let's try if you can get something. I'm going to just select all from or let's say select staff ID, right? You can try it from your hand too. You can try it. I'm also just want to think outside the box. That what if I don't want to use subquery? Staff ID, first name, right? Last name, and salary, coming, right? From employee, so it's from salary, right? Now this is this, right? And order by, coming now, order by salary, right? Right. This is simple SQL query. Okay, sorry, in descending order. I'm going to see if I'm going to get the same thing, right? Okay. When we wrote this one is what? We have Ayomide Johnson Deborah. Ayomide Johnson Deborah. So now you can see it. So how do I now want to return only three? Let me do something here. Let me do something. Let's say top three now here. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. So you can also if you are lazy like me, right? I don't want to do subquery. I'll just look for something small that will give you. I'll still give you the same thing, right? If you are lazy type like me, right? I want to make life easy for me. So I've given you two ways subquery, but you just need to understand how there are situations whereby you have to write subquery for you to be able to get your problem solved. So you need to understand how subquery work. And I told you subquery is a query inside query. Now let's proceed with our time is up. Was there any question now before we go on break? Can you write the query directly? Okay, coin day or coin. I don't know if your question is what I just did now, right? So if that's it, then I just write the query directly. Yeah. If you don't want to use subquery, right? Order by salary, descending order. Okay, good to go. Right, please come again. Okay, okay, Chiamaka, I should come again for this last one, right? I want to know if for this last one it's just straightforward. It's just for you to select start by the first name, last name, salary from salary. Run it first like this. Remove this one. Just like the way you select, do your normal selection, right? Like this. Then order by salary. So I want to see in the descending order, right? I just starting from the highest, right? Can do something like this. Okay, I've gotten from the highest, but I just want to return top three. So I can just come here, I put top three here. Then this will filter it, right? Restrict it to the three, the top three I need, right? So Ayola Moses said, when joining two tables together, since the ID are the same, can we select one ID? If you are using subquery, you can't select one ID on the two table. You would get an error. If you are using subquery to join the two tables together, you have to select the both ID, right? Yeah, you have to select the both ID for now. Okay, when we come back, we'll conclude on the subquery. It is time for break. So during the break now, you can mark your attendance. Thank you, everyone. Okay, the break is over now. We can come back. Right. Welcome back, everyone. Let's come back to the class. Welcome back, everyone. Okay. Let's continue. Let's continue with the class. Okay, someone is asking, how do we check for the lowest paid staff? Right? It's very simple. Let's go back to this place. If you check what we did here, is um what we did here is descending. So for you to check the lowest, right? Let me just copy this, and just the only thing what you're just doing is just very small, very simple something that you're going to do. So let's say, for instance, we want to get right. Let's say lowest. Let's say I'm coming. 3 lowest paid staff. So it just comes to this place and change this one to ascending. So this will give you right the lowest. It's still top 3, but you only changing the order by to ascending. Ascending is going to start from the least, right? So this give you the least paid, right? Okay. Okay. Okay, let's look at the average salary by department. The average salary by department. So okay, we're going to say select, right? So select all from, then open your brackets, right? Select, right? Department. I'm going to select, let's say department. Let's say first name. We want to see first name. Okay, let me just select this department, right? Then average salary as average salary, right? Okay, sorry. Select department, average salary, yes. Then now, so I'm going to say from, let me put it like this, from, then open the bracket, then select department, right? Comma, salary, right? Salary from salary, right? Then close the bracket as department, salary, right? Let's check this first. Invalid column department. Okay. right? Then let's check. Okay, department is invalid in the list because it is not contained in the either aggregation function or group by. Now, so based on this error message I get now, who can tell me how am I going to solve this error, right? We'll conclude on the subquery. So how am I going to get this error message, right? Based on this error message, right? Select department this from this, right? Then when I executed, I get this error that department salary dot department is invalid, right? Someone said remove average. Someone said group by. Okay. Akindeji Benga group by. Okay, group by. Wes again is going to try. I've gotten the answer. Someone has given me the how I'm going to resolve the issue. Select department ID. No, salary dot department. Mine worked. Okay, yeah, it's possible. Remove every salary. So I'm going to group by, because if you look at the error message, it said it's invalid in the select list because it is not contained in either an aggregate function or the group by. So we've already used aggregate function here. We've already aggregate the salary based on department. So what this question is trying to solve a problem that for each department, what is the average salary of each department? That's the question no, we are trying to solve here. Here is different from what we did here when we trying to get the highest paid staff, highest paid staff or the least paid staff. Here is that we want to get the average salary for each department. That's the question. That's the problem we are trying to solve. Okay, for marketing, what is the average salary? For HR, what is the average salary? For accounting, what is the average salary? That's the question we are trying to solve. Now, for us to if you now look at the error message, the error message is saying that it is invalid in the select list because it is not contained in the aggregate function or group by. So meaning we are going to group it by what? By department. So I'm going to call here. I'll say group by department. Right now, so if I run this now, so you can see the average salary for each department. Average salary for each department. There you can see it. Right now, let's also disturb ourselves by thinking outside the box. How can we write this query again if you don't want to use subquery? To see if you can get the same thing, let's try. Say select department, right? Department, then salary, then average salary, right? From salary table, right? Now, if I run this now, let's see what we'll get. So we're going to get out the same error message that the list is not contained in either aggregate function or group by function, right? So I'll come here, I'll say group by what? By salary, right? Now let's check it again. Now it is not in the list because it is not contained. So you can see why this is not working, right? It's still not contained because we already grouped by salary, right? Let me remove this first. And as average salary, right? So you can see that, you can see most time that is when we use subquery, right? I'm coming. No. Let's see if you don't get it, we'll just stick with the subquery. But it say it is not listed, not contained in either aggregate or group by clause. Then we've already grouped by select departments, average salary as this, and salary group by. Okay. Oh, sorry. Group by department. Let's see. Group by department. I think I'm the one. You are how work, right? I think it's supposed to group by department, not by salary. Okay. Yeah. So you can see it now. I'm already scared that this is going to mess up. Okay, you can see that we can use the same thing, but let's see if the same we get the same thing now. I'm going to run the two together. Right, let's see. Let's see. Yeah, we are good. So yeah, so we get the same thing, right? So that's fine. I believe we are on the same page now. So now we're going to proceed to SQL view. Before we proceed to the SQL view, okay, let's put this to the SQL view, right? I'm going to show. I would like if everyone can see my screen. I will appreciate. Let me know. Right, let's go back to our materials. Now, let's look at what is in our materials and let's look at what SQL view is, right? Now, SQL view is just like a virtual table. Not it's just is a virtual table, right? A temporary table. You can refer to it as a temporary table or as a virtual table, right? Now, an SQL view is a virtual table that is created based on the result set of SQL query. You see it now. It's a virtual table that is created based on the result set of SQL query. Now, unlike a regular table, a view does not store data itself. It's a virtual one, so there's no way it stores data itself. But instead, it dynamically retrieves data from one or more underlying tables whenever the view is queried. So what this is saying is that a SQL view is created from two or more tables, right? Just like when we join three tables together, right? Then we create a SQL view to save that table as a virtual table, right? Now, that said, on a regular table, a SQL view does not store data itself. So meaning whatsoever data that you saved inside a view, it's actually it has original it is in the original table. When you join three tables together and you create a SQL view, that's a virtual table, but the original data it's saved in the original table. So if I join three tables together to create a SQL view, if I now delete the table, the main table, what happened to the view? The view will no longer work, right? The view will no longer work because the original table that is speaking to has been deleted. So that's what means that on a regular table, a view does not store data itself. Instead, it dynamically retrieves data from one or more underlying tables. So what happened to the view when the underlying table is deleted? What happened to the view when the underlying table is updated? Is view going to be updated too? Yes. Let's say, for instance, you have 20 records of a data from the underlying table, and the underlying table is updated. Like maybe 10 new record is added. So your view is going to be the number of record in your SQL view is also going to be increased or updated us as well. So that's what the view is telling us here, right? So a lot of organization, if you work as a data consultant like me, that I'm always like a handling customers data or handling customers or database or data warehousing. If you're a customer, let's say for instance now, Incubator Hub, they have a robust database. They now hire me as a vendor, right, to come and help them to manage their database. So whoever, or they hire me as a data analyst, right, or a data scientist, then I need to put some data from the Incubator database. The whoever that is managing database, Incubator database, will not give me full access. Depend. On several occasions, they won't give you. So what they will do is that whatever what you need to create your model or to do your Power BI report or whatever, they will create a SQL view for you. Now, so they will give you access to the view. It is the view you have access to. You don't have access to the main table, right? Because that's my experience. You don't have access to the main table. You have access to the view table. You can give access to their database environment, but you might not have access to the main table. You have access to the view environment. You're going to see it down where we'll go back to our database. Now, so a view behaves like a table in a SQL. Yes, allow you to select, update, insert. So on a view too, you can select, you can update, you can insert, you can delete, right? What with some limitation. Now, the data in a view is not stored physically. It is generated dynamically when the view is accessed. So it's whenever you access your view that you can see the changes that has happened there, right? And before you can see all those changes, that changes must have taken place in your original table. Someone say just like Google Sheets. I don't know. I don't know if it works like that, right? It's possible that it works like that, and then it works like that. So a view is defined using select statements that can join multiple tables together. You can see you can join multiple tables together. You can filter rows. You can select specific columns, right? Now, one of the advantage of view is security and simplicity, right? When you create view, it make your work simple, and it's also for security purpose. You can see the reason. He said a views can be used to restrict access to certain data in a table by exposing only the specific columns or rows to the user. You can see the reason why if Incubator hired me to come out work for them as a data analyst, as a contract staff or as a data analyst, right? They don't give me access to their full database, right? So what happened is that I can get access to the view, right? Okay, someone is asking, can SQL view also be referred to as a mirroring that reproduce the main object? Yeah. Right. So for instance, you can create a view that only shows certain fields of a sensitive table, right? Hiding the rest from the user, right? I believe everyone should have gone through these materials, right? Now, for simplicity, views simplify complex query. Instead of writing a complex query repeatedly, you can create a view and use it as a simple. That's everything about SQL view. So I believe is well explanatory, right? So let's go back to our database, right? Can view be edited? Can view be edited? Yes, it can be edited. View can be edited. Yes, right. Okay, now, so let's go back. Where do we start our view now? So I'm going to start writing our SQL view from this place. I'm going to copy this. copy this query, and I'll come to this place. This is SQL view, right? Then now, if you look at this table, when we join these two tables together, we get this, we have this output, right? We have this output. Now, if I close my database, what happened to the table? The table is gone. This output here, the only thing that can make me to see the table, maybe if I export it to Excel, right? I can make use of it. But in the database, the table is gone. It means each time I open my database, for me to see this output, I have to recreate, or it's either I recreate or I re-execute the query, right? So each time I want to see this table, I have to be re-executing my query, right? Which is going to be like, how should I put it now? It's going to be tedious for me, very stressful. So instead of that, why can't I create a SQL view that anytime I see this, right? Anytime I see this, I'll just go there, select all from the table name. Now I want to save this table, so I'm going to come to this place now. So I'll say create view. So I'm going to call it, this is a combination of employee and salary tables. I can call the table employee salary, right, table. Let me put it like that, right? Now, so I will now say as, because it's going to save everything here. It's going to save the value here inside this table called employee salary table, right? So that's what that as is. So now, most thing I do, I'll just come here, I'll put VW, so that whenever I see, I will know that this is view, right? This is view. Are we on the same page? Are we on the same page? Is there any question? Now, so I'm going to now, if I run this now, it said command completed successfully. Command completed successfully, right? Now, the virtual table called help salary has been created, right? So how do I locate where it is? How do I locate? So if you come to this place under your DSA underscore DB, you will see after database diagram, you're going to see table. You're going to see table. Then you're going to see view. So under that view, click on the plus beside. So you see the table that has been created. So you can see your view here. Now, so I can decide to delete the query. If anything happened to my query, I didn't see the query again, right? I can just come to this place now. I will now run the view like the way I run my normal table. I'll just say select all from, what is this, employee, see it here. So, right now, if I run this now, then you can see it. You can see it there. So if I want to run analysis now, whatever I want to do, I don't need to go back again, and I don't need to go back to this place and start running this, start executing this one again. I don't need that. So what I just need, I just have only business with this. Are you getting me? Right. So I only have business with this one. So that's how view work. Now, let's say for instance now, if let's say for instance, if I make some changes to this employee, to the salary, let's say I make changes to this to the salary. You know, salary has 16 record. If I had some record to the salary, let's say for instance, I had like 4 record, to this salary. What will happen to the view? What happened to the view too? The number of record in the view will also increase, right? It also increase. Right? So whatever the changes, whatever the updates that you made to the main table, it will have effect on your view. If you update, your view will be updated. If you delete your main table, what happened to the view? The view will be affected, right? It will reflect in the view. So thank you. Now let's continue. So you can also do the same thing for this. Okay, let's copy this where we join. I think it's here, right? Here. So let's look at this one. We can also create a SQL view for this, where we join all this one together, right? We can also create a SQL view for this. Now we're going to talk about more on the SQL view. We want to talk more about SQL view, but we need to create some tables, right? Okay, before I proceed, is there any question on view before I proceed? Is there any question? Are we on the same page? Okay, I would like, or is there any question before I proceed? My view is giving me error. What's the error message? JNet. Oh, if your view is addicted, no. If you're okay, is that what you are saying, Joshua? If your view is addicted, no, it can't reflect. Oh, if I delete anything on the view, it doesn't reflect on the main table, right? So that's the reason why that most company, they don't give full access to the vendor whenever he wants to work on their database. If you are not the staff of that company, you are a vendor, they will give you, so whatever he wants to do with the view, do with it, in as much as you are not touching the main transaction table. All right, yeah. How can we filter the view? Don't worry, we're going to run some analysis. You should bump this. Don't worry, we're going to filter, run analysis, right? We'll get there. When you drop a table, it will be totally affected. It will totally delete in the table. We've done that, so past that stage. How can we delete or drop the view? Just normal way you drop normal table. Just drop. That's, you can do the same thing, right? Can say come here. Let's say for instance now, if I want to drop this, I can say drop. Now, okay, sorry. Right, okay. Now you can't drop view, but you can force delete, right? You can force delete. I think I will get the SQL view that will help you to delete it. I think drop doesn't delete it. Well, it can be force deleted. Okay, go over it again, right? Okay. So, like I explained, that SQL view is a virtual table. Is a what? Is a virtual table. It is stored data, right? It's stored data. The data stored in the SQL view, it has to be from one or two tables that you join together, one or two or three tables that make a table for your view. You can create a view from one table. You can create a view from two or more table, right? But it does not dynamically save the table save data by itself, right? It's actually a data, right, from two or more table that form SQL view, right? It's actually data from two or more table that form the SQL view, right? You can go through the materials. You can read the materials. The materials is well explanatory, right? And what I did there is just to copy one of the join table, right? Then what you only need is just to understand this, and it's what create view. Then you can give your table a name. Can give the table name. So let's say you have this employee. This is the table name. Then as. So meaning you want to save everything here inside this table called employee salary table. Right. So now we're going to talk about more about um, view, but let's proceed to union and union or. Right. I think I've explained what union and union or is, but we need to bring in some data. I sent some data today. I believe some of you guys have received it. Three data sets, three CSV data sets. I believe every one of you guys have received it, right? I sent it, three data sets. Let me know if you have received it. If you have received your own data set, CSV3 data set, let me see the comment section. Yes, okay. So I'm going to copy some table. I'm going to copy the table. So we need to create three tables, right? We need to create a three table. And so the table we are using to talk about union. Let's say for instance now, Incubator Hub, they have a shopping mall. I like using shopping mall to explain union, and union. All right. Let's say they have a Incubator shopping mall. So they have branches, right? Branches in Ikeja, uh, let's say in Ikeja, or they have in Ghana, or they have in UK. All right. Then maybe the head office of Incubator shopping mall is in Lagos, Nigeria, or is in Port Harcourt, right? And that's where they have their database and everything. So what happens is that at the end of every daily transaction, all the branches send in their transaction data to the head office for analysis, right? They When they design the database or the form to collect it or their POS application, it is the same thing across all just like the way the kind of the core banking application that the banks are using is the same thing across all the branches. If you go to Access Bank in Lagos, the same core banking application, the same application they are using in Lagos is the same thing they are using in Port Harcourt, it's the same thing they are using in Kano, all over the country, right? So, for instance, now Incubator use the same POS application across all their branches, let's say all over the world, right? Then after daily transactions, each branches send their data to head office for analysis, right? Or you can analyze based on your branches, but the for the one that the stakeholder is going to make a decision with, it has to be sent. So they have to pull data from all the branches for them to be able to analyze, maybe based on the branches and so on like that. Now, so we want to create a POS application. No, the POS application has been created, but the back end database. So we need to create a table, right, that we're going to use for that, right? Now, if you look at this one, so let me go to rename this as, let's call it DSA underscore mall, then underscore Ikeja branch. Let's say Ikeja. Let's say they have one Ikeja, right? Now, in this form, they have a customer ID. So if you're a customer, and you want to like transact in any of their branches, so what information they will get from you is the customer ID, customer first name, customer last name, customer gender, transaction date, customer's address, and how much did you spend, right? Just to make it simple, how much did the customer spend, right? Now, if you look at everything here, where I want you guys to pay attention is transaction date. What this query is telling us is that It said date, then default get date, meaning it's going to return today's date. It is going to return today's date. So if you are querying your database for that particular day, you are querying for that particular day. So you're going to use this date. So it's going to give you that day date. So let's say, for instance, now if I'm querying for today, right, it's going to give me today's date, right? So that's what this SQL is not interesting like Excel. SQL can never be interesting like Excel, right? Here we are talking about your database, where you store your data. So you have to just pay attention, then search more, read more for you to understand SQL, right? Right. So now, so that's what the default get date. Get date means to today's date. Now, if I execute this, it's going to create a table for me, right? Called DSA Mall Ikeja branch. So if I come to this place now, if I refresh my this, so I'll see a table called DSA Mall, right? Now, so I've created the table now for one of the branches. So I can create, so it means in the database, you have to create table for all the branches. You have to create a table for all the branches, right? So we've created one for Ikeja. So I can just copy the code again and create another one for other branches. Now, before I create the other one for branches, I want to show you something. This, especially this default. Now I'm going to copy some start value from here, right? So let me just copy some here. Okay. So now the table has been created. I want to insert into the table now, right? So insert into DSA, right? Okay, DSA. So we want to insert into this place. Now, if you look at, let me reduce this so that I can see it. Let's make this. Aha. Right. Is it possible we can leave argument for now that SQL is better than Excel? Sorry, can we pay attention, right? SQL is better than Excel. It's not an argument now, right? It's not something that we need to argue about, right? It's just that, just to understand the both, understand your Excel, understand your database as well. Now, the table has been created because if you check the table, select all from DSA. You can see that the table is empty, right? The table is empty. Now we want to insert into the table. To insert into DSA Mall Ikeja, so we need customer ID, first name, last name, customer gender, address, transaction amount. Now you can see that under the insert into table, I didn't mention transaction date. I didn't mention transaction date just because it automatically returned today's date. By the time I execute, it automatically returns today's date. So that's the reason why I don't need to mention. Just like the way when we did identity, when we are creating a table, identity, you remember salary ID, payment ID. When we use identity, then increase by 1 plus 1 by 2 plus by 3 by 4 and so on like that. So when you are inserting a value into your table, you don't need to specify those column right? Because it automatically generates by itself, right? Right. So that's the same thing I did here, right? So this one is going to return today's date. Now, if I execute this, sorry, I get error. Let me check. Line 395. First name. Okay, sorry. First name. Uh-huh. So let me run it now. Okay, 7 rows affected. Now, if I check this now, so you can see that it returned this. You can see under the transaction date, you can see that it returns today's date. Meaning, so you are analyzing your transaction on a daily basis, right? If it is not on a daily basis, but whatever you have will give you that date for that day. So that's what that default and get date, that is what it means, right? Are we on the same page? Any question? Kindly send the query to us. The file sent as only the table, right? So the reason why we are doing this is just for me to show you that when you use get date when you are creating a table, it automatically return that day. So if I'm writing a SQL query for today, I want to get today's date. So it means it's going to return today's date. So that's what this function means, today's date, right? Please pay attention, kindly note that. Now, so I'm going to drop the table again. Just delete the table. Delete the table. The file I sent, okay, for this. Okay, so let's look at the okay. So this is the file I sent to you guys, right? I sent 3. So this is one for Ikeja Mall. So this is the transactions that happen at Ikeja, right? So I'm going to import this one into my SQL server, and I think this is something that we know already, something that we know, right? I'm going to import, so I'm going to save this one back, saved, right? Saved, yeah, replace. Okay, then I'll go back to my SQL server, the table I created, right? So we've created the table, right? And let's refresh. We've created the table. So like I said, I don't need the table, so I'm going to delete it. So because the table is going to be automatically create by itself, right? When we are importing. So I'll go to my database, I will right click, and I'll go to task, right? Then import flat file, then select. So I'll browse to where I have my data, right? So this is where I have it. Right, then navigate to this place. Then is this shopping mall Ikeja. That's the one I want to mall Ikeja. Then I'll open. Then I'm going to change the name. I'm going to change it as DSA Mall Ikeja. Right. Then click next. Right. I'll preview my data. Then click next. Then do I want to make anyone customer ID like primary key. No, I'll leave it the way it is. Then I'll click next. Then I'll click finished. Right? Success. So it means I'm been able to import my data successfully. So I'm going to refresh. So if I refresh now, so you're going to see it's DSA. Then let's check. Okay. Okay, so you can see. So we've been able to import the Ikeja. So Ikeja data. So we have customer ID, first name, last name, customer gender, transaction date, address, and transactions amount. Right. Now I'm going to create the other one. Let's say we have another branch in Ghana. Let's say Ghana, right? We have another branch in Ghana. Then it's still the same thing. I will execute this, right? Then so that one has been created, but I'll still go back, refresh. I'll still go back and delete it. I want the table to be created automatically when I'm importing it. So I'll go to DSA, go to task, right? Flat file, right? Then browse to where it is. So I'm going to use this Marina, right? Click open. So I'm going to change it to DSA underscore shopping. Then I will rename this as Ghana branch, right? Then I'll click next, then next. Then I'll look at this. Everything seems to be okay. I will change this one to, let's say, leave as small int, then it's fine. Then I'll click finished. Yeah, my data successfully. Then I will can come here and refresh, then check my table, right? So you can see I've imported the Ghana's own. So let's check, right? So I'm going to say select all from, right? Then so you can see we've been able to insert this. I think so because of our time, we're going to stop here for today, right? So that in our next class, we'll continue with importing our table. So if you have not gotten the file, please make sure you get the file between now and tomorrow so that we can continue from where we stopped today, right? So is there any question for today? So if you have not received the file, right, make sure you receive it. Try and get it before tomorrow's class, right? Check your LMS. It will be in your LMS. Check. And if you have not received in your LMS, you can contact someone here. By now, you should have 2 or 3 friends on this platform that you can always reach out to whenever there's a problem, right? You can always have someone that you can reach out to. Can the file be updated in the Google? You can update it now, but just let's finish this work. Maybe when you are practicing on your own, you can update the file on the Google or the Google Sheet. It's not on the LMS, okay? Um, okay, a brief recap. So what will happen? We're going to do a recap tomorrow. So we'll start the class as early as possible tomorrow. Then we can quickly do a recap of what we did today, right? What if you want to import only the content on the table? I don't understand what you mean by content on the table. How do we lock a table in the database? Lock a table. You don't lock table in database. You lock table in Excel, right? You don't lock your table, but you can restrict access. Access can be restricted, right? Access can be restricted. Just the column. Okay. Okay, I think I've been able to answer some of you guys' question. Right, so thank you everyone. Please go over the video, go back to your YouTube, go over the video, practice the class, reach out to people if you are facing error. A lot of people are ready to assist, right? Reach out to them, form a group, assist yourself, right? Help your brother, help your sister. If you know it, please help your brother, help your sister, right? Thank you everyone. See you guys tomorrow.